I want you to pause for a moment and think of your elementary school librarian. What was their name? What do you remember about them? Mine was the late Mrs. Brown. She ran a quiet but warm library. She'd read to us from a rocking chair, and whenever you'd return a book, she'd quiz you on it to see if you'd actually read it. I loved going to the library. Some people love it so much that they decide to make a career out of it. We hear from one Malone woman about how she came to the job and how she runs her school's library on today's Story of the Day.
Support for Story of the Day comes from Clarkson University, offering over 95 programs of study with campuses in the Hudson Valley, Central, and Northern New York. More at clarkson.edu.
Hi, I'm Kara Chapman. It's Friday, October 17th. Up first, Governor Kathy Hochul hopes the state can buy most of the 36,000-acre Whitney estate near Long Lake. The entire property was set to be sold to a Texas developer, but the Adirondack Explorer broke the news last week that Hochul was trying to alter that sale. Claudia Bramer from Protect the Adirondacks is encouraging the trustees of the Whitney property to allow the state to purchase the land.
It really would be in the benefit of the legacy of the Whitneys, as well as a benefit to the town of Long Lake and the people of New York.
The town of Long Lake will earn the entire proceeds from the sale of the Whitney estate. According to the Adirondack Explorer, Hochul says in a letter that the state wants to buy a vast majority of the property. The remaining 4,600 acres would be sold to the Texas developer, who plans to build a resort there. Towns and counties in New York will soon hold their elections in even-numbered years. John Campbell with the New York Public News Network reports that's thanks to a ruling yesterday from the state's top court.
Republican-led counties argued a state law moving their local elections from odd years to even years violated the state constitution. But the Court of Appeals upheld the law and declined to delay it. Now, races for town supervisor and county executive will gradually shift to even-number years, aligning them with state and federal elections. But city elections are set in odd years by the state constitution. New York City voters will decide next month whether to pre-authorize a move to even years. But it would only take effect if the state changes the Constitution. The earliest that could happen is late 2027. In Albany, I'm John Campbell for the New York Public News Network.
The debate between the two candidates in the upcoming special assembly election premieres tonight on Mountain Lake PBS. Retired State Police Troop B Commander Brent Davison is the Republican candidate, while Democrats have put forward Plattsburgh Town Supervisor Michael Cashman. They're running to replace Democrat Billy Jones, who represented the 115th Assembly District for almost 9 years. The district covers all of Clinton and Franklin counties and 5 towns in Essex County. Cashman and Davison took questions on topics ranging from housing and healthcare to corrections and energy. Mountain Lake's Tom Halleck moderated the debate. The panelists were WAMC's Pat Bradley, Alec Lasham from WCAX-TV, and me. The debate will air at 8 p.m. tonight on Mountain Lake PBS and throughout the weekend. You can also stream it at mountainlake.org or watch it on the PBS app starting tonight. For many people, the comforting atmosphere of the library was a big part of growing up, flipping through titles in the stacks or cozying up on a beanbag with a good book. It was a love of that environment that led one Malone woman to pursue a career as a librarian. That's today's North Country at Work story. Anna Williams-Bergen has more.
When you picture a library, you probably think books and quiet, the kind of hushed, mellow environment that most of us were raised with. That's not how Emily Bloomfield runs her library.
Teachers walk in, they're like, "Oh, it's loud in here." I'm like, "Yeah, they're learning." They're talking to each other. They're doing stuff. Like, learning is happening. Their brains are growing. Of course it's going to be loud.
That philosophy inspires how Bloomfield runs her library at the Davis Elementary School in Malone.
Some days are super busy and crazy and I can't breathe, and it's like I do a workout every day, and then other days are much more calm and I have more time, and every day is kind of different, which I really like. You don't get bored because there's so much going on.
Bloomfield is 37. She was born and raised in Malone, and she's been the school librarian here for over a decade. She got into the line of work because of her father's advice.
He said, don't think about the type of work you want to do. Think about the environment you feel most comfortable in, that you'd want to actually work in and see yourself being happy in. And that was a library.
Bloomfield went to Buffalo to get her master's in library science. And when she graduated, it was a tough time for the field.
There had been some school districts that had cut their library positions for some of the taxpayers or people in school districts. Sometimes it's seen as a position that could be cut to save money. So being a school librarian was not necessarily a super stable thing when I first started.
In Buffalo, where she went to school, no one was hiring. In the North Country, there weren't a ton of positions in the first place. But there were also fewer people qualified to do the work. She got her job here in Malone after the old librarian retired.
I was a little bit kind of scary at first, you know what I mean? Would I find something after spending all this time and money getting a degree? But I got lucky, so.
Bloomfield has been the librarian at Davis Elementary since 2012. Each month, she circulates 1,000 to 2,000 books.
Every time a book is circulated, it's touched. I touch it when I check it out to the kids, and then they bring it back, and I touch it, and I put it back on the shelf. It's a lot of time.
But those books are just one part of her job.
Most of my job is teaching kids how to access information more than reading skills. I'm not a reading teacher. I don't teach kids how to read. It's more of how do you find information online? How do you find information in books? How do you learn what to do with that information when you find it?
For Bloomfield, a big part of being a librarian is digital literacy, teaching kids how to use the internet and how to use it responsibly.
How to not cyberbully, and what do you do if somebody cyberbullies you, and how do you navigate websites? All this kind of digital stuff is kind of where do kids learn how to do that? Their day is slammed with math, science, reading. And then me in the library, I have this little space where I can say, here's a really important skill set that you might not get anywhere else.
It's a lot to manage at once. She says the biggest challenge in her work is always having enough time.
Because I'm only one person and my building is quite big. So with the full teaching load, there's a lot of administrative tasks that I have to do that you wouldn't really think about, right? It's I'm a teacher, but I'm also running a program that has a kind of a big budget. It's a lot. It can be a lot.
But she's got her students. Bloomfield says they're the best part of the job. They're funny, and they keep things interesting.
Just their minds are so interesting to kind of see their responses to things. I love picking out books and seeing their reactions to stuff. It's totally unexpected. Some things I think that they'll love, they hate, and other things I'm they would never like this. They just can't get enough of,
Bloomfield gets to see her kids grow up, too. Hundreds of students have passed through her library over the years, and now some of them are full-grown adults.
Sometimes I'll see somebody and I just like the shape of their face or, their hair, or I'll see a name tag and I'm oh my gosh, I think I know that person. But they're just so tall and weird looking, right? Not weird, weird looking to me because I'm used to seeing them in my head as a 10-year-old.
Bloomfield is 13 years into her work, and she says she just can't imagine doing anything else.
Sometimes I get tired, right? And you get a little burnt out and you're oh my gosh, I'm exhausted. I touched, 5,000 books, it feels and I just can't anymore. But then the next year rolls around and I'm okay, I'm ready. This is going to be so fun. Let's get the puppets out. Let's get the robots out. Let's get my read alouds out. So I don't know, every year I find the energies from somewhere.
And Bloomfield says she wouldn't have it any other way. For North Country Public Radio's North Country at Work project, I'm Anna Williams-Bergen in Malone.
This story is part of North Country at Work's Next Generation project, which highlights stories from the region's young workers. If you have a story in mind, we want to hear it. Just text the word NEXT to 315-978-6277. You can also email us at work@ncpr.org. North Country at Work is one of NCPR's special projects that collects photos and stories about working life in our region, and it's made possible thanks to support from listeners like you. You can support North Country at Work and all of NCPR's programming right now during our annual fall fundraiser. Donate directly to NCPR by going to ncpr.org/give. And thanks. We have more news all the time on our website, ncpr.org. Music today by Caitlin Scholl of Lake Placid and Evan Veenstra of Gananoque, Ontario. I'm Kara Chapman, North Country Public Radio.